Alhamdulillahi wahda, wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'da, amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna 'alan nabi, ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa maulana Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim wa salli alayhi. Respected scholars of Deen, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We finished with a barrage of questions. I'm not going to talk about that topic again. So we left the previous lecture where Hazrat Imam Hasan took a very historic step, and they wrote a letter to Amir Muawiyah saying that he would, i.e. Hazrat Imam Hasan would surrender his Khilafat if certain conditions were met. Amir Muawiyah wrote a letter back which was sealed, but it was a blank sheet of paper, and he asked Hazrat Imam Hasan to detail the conditions. And there are a couple of main points, about three main points in terms of conditions. The first was that Khilafat should return to Imam Hasan after Amir Muawiyah passes away. Khilafat should return to Imam Hasan after Amir Muawiyah passes away. Now the problem that occurred between Hazrat Ali and Hazrat Amir Muawiyah, this involved a lot of people and tempers were raised. So the second point was that there should be no revenge against the people of Medina, against the people of Al-Hijaz. I suppose Medina falls into Al-Hijaz, and Iraq, for what happened in the time of Hazrat Ali. So this should be, this should be put to one side now. There should be no sort of revenge against that. And the third point, that a guarantee of peace should be there for the army of Imam Hasan, and just to reiterate the previous, and for the supporters of Hazrat Ali radiyallahu ta'ala an. Okay, you want me to go over those points again, or? So Khilafat to return to Imam Hasan after Amir Muawiyah passes away. There should be no revenge against the people of Al-Hijaz, Makkah, Medina and Iraq, because naturally the supporters of Hazrat Ali moved with Hazrat Ali to Iraq, and there were some already there. And a guarantee of peace for the army of Imam Hasan and the supporters of Hazrat Ali. So Amir Muawiyah accepted these conditions and came to Kufa to meet with Imam Hasan. Imam Hasan and his army met with Amir Muawiyah, and they pledged allegiance to him. And now the Khilafat was in the hands of Amir Muawiyah. So what we have is another example where the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are realized. This is something that I was just speaking with Maulana Safar about this point, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has stated what is going to happen. They have prophesied many things, yet still we are always on the back foot. We're always waiting for something to happen, and then we say, yes, you see, it's written in the hadith. Yet the hadith is there for us to actually look at the world from, not looking towards the hadith from the world point of view. So two parties of the Muslims who were at loggerheads, who were warring, peace has been made through Hazrat Imam Hasan. Now this occurred in the year 41 Hijri. The month is unclear. Some say it was Rabiul Awwal, some say Rabiul Akhir, some say Jumadul Awwal. I think we were talking about when Khilafat occurred and how old Hazrat Imam Hasan was. So actually, going by the date that they passed away was incorrect, because they lived after this time as well, after stepping down from Khilafat. So if 41st Hijri, if we base it on that, 6 months prior to that, so this would be around about 40th Hijri, and they were born on the 3rd of Hijri, so they would have been around about 37, no, about 39 years old when they took, no, not 39, 37, yes, 37. I've got A-level maths, can you believe it? It's amazing. Yeah. Not a very good grade, but never mind. With dates, and perhaps this is where Pakistanis get it from, there's always a lot of ambiguity. So, you know, there's a lot of different narrations and so forth. So, you know, but generally they're around about the same time periods. Numbers and dates, these are two that we get different narrations of. Now, what was the reaction? So people have accepted and pushed Imam Hasan to become the Khalifa. They've given bay'at to him. And what was their reaction to his support from his supporters? Some people actually took great offense that this was the greatest office that anyone can hold on this planet, and Imam Hasan has just given it up. So some people actually took offense, and there were some of their own companions, the companions of Imam Hasan, who said, "Oh, disgrace of the Mu'mineen." And the response from Hazrat Imam Hasan was that disgrace is better than the fire. And another man came to Imam Hasan and said, "Peace be upon you, humiliator of the believers." And Imam Hasan's response to this was that, "I am not the humiliator of the believers, but I disliked to kill you for the sovereignty." So in order to achieve a position, I might have had to you know, do certain things that I did not wish to do. So I'd rather not accept that position in order that I did not have to do those things. So what happened? So Imam Hasan was now in Kufa at the time. They moved back to Medina Taiba and they stayed there. Now, unfortunately, their demise was also in the way of a shaheed. One of their wives, Jada, she gave them some poison to drink. And they were in Medina at the time that they passed away. Now, how did this occur? Yazid bin Muawiyah, the son of Amir Muawiyah, suggested to the wife of Hazrat Imam Hasan that she should poison him and then they could marry. And seeing this offer before her, she obviously felt that this was better than what she had. She carried out what Yazid had suggested. Having carried out what he had suggested, after Hazrat Imam Hasan passed away, she approached Yazid, as in sent a message to Yazid, asking that if he would fulfill his promise. And his reply was that we were not pleased with you for Al-Hasan. We were not pleased with you for Al-Hasan, i.e. we didn't wish for you to be with Al-Hasan. But then he added, so should we then be pleased with you for ourselves? So if you're not good enough for Imam Hasan, why are you going to be good enough for me? It's very, very clever. Now if we think about the first condition that Imam Hasan put in to Amir Muawiyah, that after Amir Muawiyah, now Amir Muawiyah was in his senior years, he was a senior Sahabi. Amir Muawiyah accepted the condition that after he passed away, Khilafat would go to Imam Hasan. If Imam Hasan isn't around, then other people have a chance. So anyway, Yazid, through a wife of Imam Hasan, achieved what he wished, and Imam Hasan was made Shaheed. Now again, there's 3 years as the dates for when Imam Hasan passed away: 49th, 50th, 51st Hijri. It was the month of Rabiul Awwal, 5th of Rabiul Awwal, it has been reported. Now Imam Hussein, we've not spoken much about Imam Hussein, but Imam Hussein argued with Imam Hasan during his last days, asking him to tell him who had done this to him, because it was known that they had been poisoned, but who has done this? And his response to his brother was quite beautiful. He states, despite what has happened, as Imam Hasan says, Allah is the most severe in revenge if it should be Allah is the most severe in revenge if it should be the one that I suspect. So if it is who I suspect, then Allah is going to be the most severe in dealing with that individual. If not, if it's not the person that I suspect, then no innocent person must be killed in retaliation for me. So I don't want to take the chance. So again, Hazrat Imam Hasan bared his difficult time with patience. Ibn Sa'd has narrated that Al-Hasan, Imam Hasan, saw as if it was written between his eyes the first verse of Surah Ikhlas, Qul huwallahu ahad. And when his family heard this, they were extremely happy. And this particular vision was told to, it was a vision or a dream, was told to Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib. And he responded saying that if his dream is true, then he has only a few days left to live. The tabir, the science of interpreting dreams is also something that can be a divine gift. Sometimes the most random thing that you see, which you cannot imagine has any meaning, actually does have a meaning, and only those who have the ability to interpret can really go through. And I'm sure you've all experienced things in that way. So only a few days left to live, and Imam Hasan passed away only a few days after seeing this particular vision. Before passing away, Imam Hasan spoke with Imam Hussein, and he told his brother that he had spoken with Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu ta'ala anha. And what did they speak about? They spoke about Hazrat Imam Hasan being very close to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa was very happy with this. Imam Hasan told their brother that after I pass away, you should go to her and speak to her about this. But Imam Hasan also knew that people would not be happy with this. They would not like for him to be buried next to or near Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Imam Hasan's instructions then were not to engage with these people. Do not sort of try and argue with them. When the time came, Imam Hussein spoke with Hazrat Aisha, and she said that it would be an honor, and they made preparations for the burial, but Marwan stood and prevented this from happening. And Imam Hussein, contrary to advice from his brother, actually prepared to fight with Marwan, but Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala anhu prevented them from fighting, and Imam Hasan was then buried in Jannatul Baqi next to his mother Hazrat Fatima Zahra radiallahu ta'ala. I didn't realize this second lecture was going to be so short. I think we'll take the time to just have a little discussion. Are there any questions before we actually? It was they passed away around about it was either 49th, 50th or 51st, so it was one of those dates. I'm not sure exactly how long it took for the poison to go through their system and do the damage. Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not in this case. Jannatul Baqi. I mean, those who have been to Medina Taiba, it's all different. I mean, the people who have been many years ago, they will tell you, that they've actually been inside and walked around and so forth. But now, the way that they change things, they sort of demolish some of the stones and things, so graves aren't actually known, where the graves are and so forth. So the advice that the scholars give us is not to actually go inside, do ziyarat from outside, just in case you might actually end up walking over the grave of a Sahabi or a Sahabiya. Better just to do ziyarat from outside. Jivis. Hazrat Imam Hasan? That's a good question. I don't know. I'll look into that. Yeah, I'll look into that. I think we're focusing on their sort of the mention in hadith and so forth. So no, that's an interesting question. I'll see if we can find some things out. Oh right, okay. Well, I think she if it didn't happen then, it would sooner or later catch up with her, isn't it? But that again, I'm not sure if any sort of official action was taken against her, but certainly something would have been done. Knowing what we know about Yazid, this is probably typical behavior. And in his statement that if he was basically just using her to get his job done. Well, I think people like that, I think they managed to sort of cover things, and also being the son of Amir Muawiyah, he enjoyed that position. So and he went on to do what he did. So you know, he wasn't really reprimanded in that way. Okay, so we basically covered 5 Khulafa there, starting with Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq and moving on to Hazrat Umar Farooq, Hazrat Usman Ghani, Hazrat Ali Karamallahu Wajhal Kareem, and today Hazrat Imam Hasan. Each of the Khulafa, the sort of points that they needed to address you know, were different. Well, you can see that with each change of Khalifa, the situation for the Muslims almost became a little bit more difficult. There was expansion, there was you know, a lot of work that was done, and there's a lot of discussion still to be had after this time, which inshallah we will have in due course. So there's a lot of expansion, but what was beginning to happen was that it was no longer, the office was no longer that of the Khalifa. It became almost a governmental office. And whilst there have been a lot of rulers that have come after the Khulafa who were rightly guided, we know of, you know, you've heard of a lot of them, you know, in your readings. Technically, we couldn't refer to them as you know, Khalifatul Mu'mineen. You know, there would be you know, Amirul Mu'mineen and so forth. But at the same time, there have been others that have come who have not been so good, and the various dynasties that have come, you know, who've sort of expanded things in their own way, and difficulties that have come with that also. So inshallah we'll cover from next session. We'll look at Amir Muawiyah and you know, time there, and hopefully start to expand a little bit more in our inquiry and discussion as to what was happening further afield, and how the Ummah was expanding, how the Islamic State was expanding. Are there any more points of discussion anyone wishes to raise? Okay, very good. Okay, inshallah, apologies for a shorter second lecture, but inshallah we'll pick things up next time. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ.